Well, welcome. I'm Electra Porzel. I'm the director of the Language of Consciousness Institute, and I just finished a really interesting discussion that had us kind of going from the depths of, oh my God, it's so bad. How will we ever create a better society for the coming generations, to great excitement about the possibilities that exist. So let me tell you what kind of triggered the discussion. The old story, and this is Charles Einstein's Old Stories, New Stories, that he wrote it in a blog in January, and we decided that we really wanted to discuss them. So for every week since then, we have been discussing these. So the old story that he said humanity lived by was, our high-tech, scientific, developed society is more advanced than those in undeveloped parts of the world. Their progress means becoming more like us. And you can see it in all the policies that we've had about taking Indian children away and educating them and not allowing them to speak their indigenous languages or do their culture, trying to say that we're the highest version of humanity and everybody else has to meet our way, and not recognizing how these other cultures fit their environment, and actually were probably fit their environment better than what we installed. But the new story that he said that what we're going to need to create societies for the future is indigenous and traditional cultures are in certain ways more highly advanced, more developed than modern society. We have much to learn from them. And we all agreed with that. You really can't fight that. The question we did have is, a lot of the indigenous wisdom and the cultures, the whole culture in which they live, may not be fully retrievable. The wisdom is, like if you read Tyson Yunkaporta's Sand Talk, some of the wisdom, the way of being one with another, being one with the land, with nature, that can be replicated. An example, it's not an indigenous culture, but like the whole issue of human beings needing to really, the body needs contact with nature, is in a lot of cities, they're trying to put parks in and that, but they're isolated. And Singapore did something really interesting. They created laws. They wrote laws that said that if you build a building, whatever the land space is, let's say it's an acre of land, then you have to have an acre of greenery on the building. So it might be in walkways, it might be on the rooftop, it might be on the sides of the building, but that's required. And so what they've discovered is that once they put the greenery in, all the wildlife returned to the city. And absolutely gorgeous. So if you think about what a paradise and a city where, 10,000 people in 250 square miles, how they could do that and control it and create something that's really gorgeous to be in and healthy to be in, is part of the answer of using tech with an understanding or the goal of bringing to humans what they need. There's a program on PBS that's, I think, called The Human Footprint. And what he talks about is how humans have altered every other species on the planet. And but we've also altered the planet so much that it's detrimental to the health of human beings, to the future of human beings. And what this new story says, it says indigenous and traditional cultures are in certain ways more highly advanced, more developed than modern society. Well, look at modern society. Look what we've done with our cities. We've created very sick places for people. We have ignored entire groups of people, put them, denied them services, denied them, have all sorts of stories where you don't take care of Black people or people with brown skin, and in all sorts of different environments. So we could all go down a path of really being negative about this, but we ended up saying to ourselves, this doesn't work to be discouraged about this, because we were talking about, well, do you solve it at the top level? Do you solve it at the grassroots level? How do you get it wide enough and big enough to really take care of all humanity? And Singapore can do it because Singapore is only a very small city-state. The United States, Australia, China, India, Russia, they're all very large. And how do we make sweeping changes in them? And maybe we don't. Maybe we start with individual cities and individual imagining different ways, using technology to help us figure out, well, how do you make clean air? How do you make clean water again? How do we return to this, what we know to be part of the innate structure of a human being, is to be one, related to each other, related to nature, and related to land. And when we figure that out and start working on it on a piece by piece level, whether it's town by town, software system by software system. So we're being holistic. One of the imaginings that we had was that, yes, AI can be helpful in medical, but why doesn't AI include not just allopathic medicine, but the Ayurvedic system, the traditional Chinese system, the recognition of energetics that you find in shamanic healing and energy healing? And when you have, then you could say high tech really does give us the best, because your prescription would include something from all of those. And it may include, diet change and exercise and, different colors you might wear and different things you might do, practices you might have. Then I would say, okay, I would trust AI a little bit more to bring all of that to me if I'm a patient, than if the only thing the AI knows is allopathic medicine. Because allopathic medicine is not the full story about how to heal people. We know that. It's a limited program. So, and yes, it's like, you don't want to throw away the baby with the bathwater, but you also you want to include more. So that's one of my fantasies, that someone writes an AI program that includes all of those others in it, so people get kind of a full system answer, full organic system. We might say, how do you program, how technology can serve us to create healthier air and healthier water? But humans have to want that too. So part of it is an education of us. We talked about a group called Braver Angels, which really go in and help people learn how to talk to people that think differently than they do. And, some of the ground rules I know are like, be respectful, don't overtalk somebody, don't approach somebody like you're going to change their mind. It's an opening up to and a listening. Which brought us into the discussion of the creation exercises from the language of creation. And those templates require that you use life-enhancing and life-generating phrases. So it pulls us out of the looping mind of negativity and into imagining really wonderful things for the future, or whatever you want. If you're craving, holistically sustaining systems for future generations, you might say, creates populations intuitively knowing where to go or know. A beautiful blend of the cravings, the highest health or highest vitality for humans, possible at all times. I don't know. I'm not writing it very well. I'm hitting in my head. But you can see that the phraseology is life-enhancing, life-generating. Well, when you think about it, every time, like if we have a phrase called craving, holistically sustainable futures for coming generations, and suddenly I'm going to have a creates phrase, a sustains and maintains phrase, an embodies phrase. we're going to have 12 by we finish. Well, I'm going to have 12 life-enhancing, life-generating phrases attached to that one craving. And that helps the brain think differently, because now those are all options for in our brain, and we've written them, and it's not somebody else telling us, it's what we crave in the world. Around that, let's say that one phrase or any phrase that you put there. That's why they're really good, because what somebody said, and I'll back them up, is we need to change how we think. We have come from what I thought was a very egotistical Western mind that said, oh, we know best. And because you're not like us, then you must be inferior to us. And we never looked at how a different culture or a different society or different religious group or different people with different skin color thought differently or felt differently about how they lived. And they might have probably knew better. But we didn't pay attention to it because we have this tremendous ego about somehow we're always right. Well, we're not. And we realize that now. And we realize that it's time to step back, to listen to other people, to observe what's going on, to crave life-generating, life-enhancing futures for our individuals and for all of human beings and for society, if we want a sustainable future for our grandchildren and the children rising after that. And I do. I think my grandchildren are, 5 through 12? They're going to live until the end of the century. I want them to have wonderful, thriving lives. I want their children and grandchildren to have wonderful, thriving lives. So it starts with me writing my creation exercise. It starts with me living this life the best that I can, creating with them and for them so that they can create on top of that. I think we all have to do that. So if you're interested in joining the very last discussion that we're going to have for this on this whole series, we're meeting next Thursday. Let's see, what is it? August 10th. And on August 10th, we're going to do our last discussion. You're welcome to join us. If you're interested, just go to the website, lscinstitute.com, and go to our events page and register. And you can join us in this last conversation. And we're going to have a lot of good discussions starting in September. This is the last one to end up on this particular series. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I look forward to talking to you at some point. Take care.